Welcome to Kingdom Housewives, the podcast for women growing in faith and becoming the godly wives God has called us to be. Here, we talk love, purpose, and walking in grace while honoring God in our homes and hearts. This is where faith meets womanhood. Welcome to Kingdom Housewives.
Hey, Christ followers, welcome back to Kingdom Housewives podcast. I'm your host, Heidi, and today's episode is all about knowing God, and not just knowing about Him, but truly knowing Him. And I want to start this episode by sharing a dream I had just a few nights ago, because it really sets the tone for everything that I want to talk about today. So in the dream I had, I'm standing in front of a tree. And this tree is massive. Its trunk is so wide that it would take several people holding hands just to wrap around it. And it's so tall too that I have to tilt my head back, like all the way back, just to try to see the top. So I'm standing right in front of this tree in my dream. And there's nothing else around. There's no homes, no cars, no buildings, nothing like that. Just obviously grass and, of course, the sky, and then this tree. And as I'm standing there, just in front of the tree, I hear a voice say, "This is who I am." Okay. And then suddenly, it's as if someone presses the rewind button on a remote, because time begins to move backward. Like as I'm watching the tree, the seasons reverse. Leaves fall and then reappear. The sun rises and sets like over and over again. Like each day is rewinding. So everything keeps rewinding like all the way back to what feels like the first day of creation. And the whole time, I'm just standing there, unchanged, just watching. When I woke up, I felt this calmness. I felt peaceful and grounded. And immediately I started praying to God, and two scriptures came to mind. Now, I don't have the scriptures memorized, but I knew a few of the words. And so, of course, I had to look up the scripture. But the first scripture that came to mind was in Revelations, and we're going to read that. So it was actually Revelations chapter 22, verse 13. And in the ESV version, it reads, "I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end." That dream reminded me that God exists outside of time. Before the first sunrise, before the first season, before the first breath, He was already God. And the tree, it felt ancient, steady, like unmoved. It's like God saying, I don't change, I don't age, I don't fade. And that's important when we talk about knowing God, because we're not getting to know someone who is still figuring himself out. We're drawing near to the beginning and the end. The second scripture that came to my mind was in the book of James. James chapter 4, verse 8. And it was just that first part that came to my mind. It reads, "Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you." And of course, it continues with, "Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded." That first part about drawing near to God, and He will draw near to you, that verse has been living in my heart lately. Because knowing God isn't about perfection, it's about proximity, it's about drawing near. So today I want to ask you a simple but uncomfortable question. How well do you actually know God? Not how much scripture you can quote, not how long have you been a Christian, but how well do you know Him? Do you know God's heart? Do you know what He loves? Do you know what He hates? Do you recognize His voice? Because the more time I spend with God, the more I realize that knowing Him changes everything. One thing God has been showing me is how much time I'm actually spending with Him because of this podcast. I don't get on here and just wing it. I don't just speak from the dome. I actually prepare. I study scripture. I sit with God. I pray. I ask questions. And in doing all of that, of course, I'm spending more time with Him than I ever have before. But here's the honest part. I don't have a lot of listeners. I'm not getting paid for this. There isn't a sponsor. And there have been moments when I've wanted to quit because I felt silly spending so much time on something that only a few people hear. And if I'm being really vulnerable, I take it personally sometimes. Like, I remember thinking, dang, I kind of thought I had more friends than this. I really thought more people would support this. And I know that sounds silly, but those are the real thoughts that I struggled with. So, you just listening to this, I appreciate that because unfortunately, I can see how many people listen to each episode, and I feel embarrassed sometimes when I look at that because I think I know more people in the doctor's office waiting room than who listen to some of my podcast episodes. But as those thoughts come, God has been gently correcting my heart. You see, He keeps reminding me that He cares about every single person. Even if only 2 people listen, even if only 3 people hear this, those people matter to God. Specifically, you. You matter to God. And more than that, God knows that I'm showing up to spend time with Him. This podcast isn't just for the listeners. It's been a tool God is using to draw me closer to Him. And that realization has helped me, and it has changed everything. It's a constant reminder I have to be reminded of. Because here's the truth. The closer you get to God, the harder it becomes to live in ways that displease Him. And it's not out of fear, not out of religion, but out of love. As I've been drawing closer to God, He's been showing me areas of my life that need to change. And once I see them, I can't unsee them. And when I don't change them, it really bothers me, basically to the point where I make the changes. Not because I feel condemned, but because I don't want anything separating me from Him. And here's kind of an example of what I mean. I shared in a previous episode about the music I used to listen to and how it really convicted me about it. That conviction didn't come from a rule, it came from my relationship. The more I knew God, the more I knew what grieved Him. And the more I loved Him, the more I wanted to remove anything that displaced Him in my heart. That's what happens when you know God. And I want to be clear, knowing God doesn't mean life becomes easy. I still struggle. I still wrestle with wanting acceptance from people. I still have moments where discouragement creeps in. But the difference now is this. I would rather be close to God than approved by people. And that didn't happen overnight. That happened through drawing near over and over again. So I want to invite you to reflect today. Are you drawing near to God? Are you spending intentional time with Him? Are you getting to know His Word? Not just reading it, but letting it read you. Because God promises this in James chapter 4, verse 8. Draw near to God and He will draw near to you. That's not poetic language. That's a guarantee. So if you're listening to this and you feel unseen, if you feel like your effort doesn't matter, if you feel like you're doing things for God and no one notices, He sees you. And knowing Him, truly knowing Him, is worth more than podcast listener numbers, applause, or recognition, because He is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And He invites us to know Him. I want to thank you for taking some time to listen today. And truly, you do matter. Not just to me as a listener, but to God. And He wants that relationship with you. We have to take that step. We have to open the door because He's waiting. If this episode has blessed you, please share or like and follow. Thank you so much for listening. Until next week.
Thank you for joining today. If Kingdom Housewives has blessed you, please like, follow, and subscribe, and share this podcast with others. Together, let's continue to glorify God.